Until the 1st of February, I'm excited to be partnering with HelloFresh UK. Get money off fresh meal kits delivered to your door by using the discount link or the checkout code in the description below. Get 50% off your first box and 35% off the following 3, as well as 3 free gifts. If you want to see more from HelloFresh UK, then check out my social medias where I've been sharing my meals the last few weeks. And what's best, if you sign up, you help support the channel and you can cancel at any time. Well, time for our first game in charge of our new club, Ipswich Town, in the Championship today. We've had a summer transfer special with our director of football at the new club, and it's been a little bit strange. We might even be forced into changing tactic. Want to see why? Well, let's go and find out. Yes, hello and welcome along to part 52 of the Head Coach with me, Daniel. It's taken a bit longer than usual this year, but we are managing our first game in a professional league. And it's not exactly the most inconspicuous start you could have as well. We have been promoted 3 divisions in our latest job. And today, after a summer transfer window with a new director of football and a new club, we are in charge of Ipswich Town in the Championship. And to add a little bit of spice to the fire, we are playing Stoke City, who are managed by the manager who just left Ipswich to take that job. Scott Parker's first game in charge of Stoke is against his former club, and we're going to try and put him to the sword against a team that were in the Premier League last year. So if you're looking forward to seeing how we get on and what on earth our new director of football's done, because it's been an interesting summer, then please do put a thumbs up on it. As I mentioned in the intro, there is a real strong possibility that I'm going to be forced to change shape here or play someone out of position. We'll talk about why in a moment. I'm sure you can work a little bit of it out from the last episode. If you missed any of the introduction to the club, that's up in the eye above with all the other playlists. But we are going to start in one place and one place only. Staffing and transfers, because that's where the changes have been. So let's start with this. 3 under-21 staff left the club the week after I joined. Of course, it was the end of June, lots of contracts expiring. But we have had, 7 staff members come in, a new assistant manager, a new technical director and fitness coach. And look at what happened just last week. Someone's managerial career did not work out and they are now back with us as a coach. And that is not a problem given their attributes. So following us, we'll run very quickly through the under-18. Lewis Stewart is a goalkeeping coach. He's not going to contribute to first team level. But our new assistant manager is Shay Stadhart, who was at Harrogate previously. He's not bad. He's not what I'd call a world beater. He's probably not the man I'd choose. But he's a decent coach, which first and foremost is important on the training ground. And he's not the worst at the other stuff either. I kind of trust my tactical knowledge to an extent. I trust my judgment of players when we get to this level. So in terms of people management, motivation, that sort of stuff's more important. And that's the stuff he's best at. So no problem having him in. He is primarily a coach, I would say. He's joined by a technical director, Gregor Rendell Biles. He will now be in charge of the staff that come in and out, and he's led to some of the other ones later down the line as well. He's very good at his job, and maybe that's why you've got some familiar names further down this list. Very good personality, mentally strong, good negotiator, great at judging staff ability. Exactly what you need for the role. Really good addition. He has then brought in Jake Rowe, I think, was already being discussed. He's a young physio, doesn't matter too much. But the 3 senior staff that have joined last are the doing of Rendell Biles. Firstly, fitness coach Jermaine McCubbin. He is not great at fitness, but very good mentally again, trying to create that atmosphere behind the scenes. He's not the worst at his job in fairness. Been at Bournemouth and PSV. He's got good experience, if nothing else. Darren Smith from Salford is the goalkeeping coach. He is very good at what he does. Adds real quality, particularly on the shot-stopping side, which was our weakness prior, and very good mentally yet again. Decent reputation too. And then last week, the big surprise, Mick Beale, the former QPR and current Rangers manager in real life, has joined us as a first-team coach. So in this universe, he was sacked by QPR before he even left for Rangers in real life, has then been assistant at Bolton and Palace, and has now come to be coach third in command, Ipswich Town. But if you remember from the last episode, we talked about Lee Grant being the weakness there as a general senior coach. We needed one more quality one. Well, you can't do much better than that on the coaching front. Whether his management skills are great, you don't know. But for a coach, he is exceptional. He's got a really good reputation. He's got the pro license and he's on a fairly modest wage. I am delighted he's joined. So the training ground is looking a lot healthier now. quality people in, working with good players. But the transfer news has been a little bit bizarre. The director of football, in fairness, missed out on one brilliant young centre-half who he tried to get in. He's gone to Stoke, which adds another layer to what we're going to face today. But the ones that have come in and out, they're not bad players, but we've still got a gaping hole in the team. And most importantly, nearly all of our budget was spent on one man, and I think it's a little bit of a waste. But before we get on to the ins, we do need to quickly reflect on the outs, because none of the people who were out of contract or returning from loan have now come back to the club. So all of those went out, including Vokins and Ben, the two fullbacks I would have ideally kept. And we've only really replaced one of those so far as well. So lots of players out in terms of being released, but in terms of transfers, there has been some interesting news. We go back to the end of last season, there was nothing else after we joined the club. I didn't realise that Grimshaw, though, had only joined in January, the first choice goalkeeper. But if we move into July and this pre-season, a lot of players going out on loan, particularly those we looked at in the first team who were just on the cusp before. So Joe Miley was one of them on the left wing. Little bit annoyed he's gone now because we've had some problems since, but he's a good left winger and he'll get a good year at Ipswich. Just trying to remember who the other stars were. We'll just run through them quickly. Beck wasn't particularly good. Brennan, he's a little bit better. Both of those have gone to Accrington. Callum Bates was in a senior team. He is another player who can play off the left wing. I think you can see where our problem is now. He's gone on loan to Shrewsbury. Woody Williamson was in the 21s as a keeper, but he wasn't even the best goalkeeper in there. He's been sold for £7,000 to Preston. Freddie Davison has gone on loan to Grimsby. He was that backup striker who couldn't finish. Ricky Tilson on loan to Newport County. And then probably the best one of the lot, Mark Hitchin, has gone to Sutton United. Great personality, was going to be my backup right winger. We've got enough squad depth to not need him, and he'll benefit more from playing. But if we move on to the ins, there are two of these who are basically pointless. They're just youngsters in the under-21 side. There is one player coming in for next to nothing that is a brilliant signing, and then all of the rest of the budget, the initial budget, has basically been blown on one man. And I don't quite get it. Let's get straight on to him because he's the first signing of the summer. From QPR, Frankie Kent comes in. Now, we missed out on that brilliant centre-half from Stoke who was £475,000. Frankie Kent is 1.8 million. He comes from QPR, who we had an interview at. They got relegated from the Championship to League One. They're probably going to promote Chris Bennett now, who we had on loan at Bromley. But look at him. He's 32 years of age. He's got a great personality. He's a good professional pro. He's a good centre-half. He's a good holding midfielder. He's not as good as our first two central defenders. He's not as good as our first holding midfielder. He's got bags of experience and bags of games under his belt. But is he a first 11 player? I'm not so sure he is. The other senior man to come in, though, was exactly what we needed and for a brilliant price. Trey Hume is a right back, formerly of Ballymena and Linfield, linking back to our Build a Nation save. That's where he started out in his career. Has had a real good spell at Sunderland in real life. And now, via Bolton, Hearts and Fleetwood, he is here at Ipswich Town. 3.8 grand a week, bought in for £25,000. That is a super signing. He's a backup right back. He can play on the left as well. It's areas we needed to strengthen, and Trey Hume is an excellent way of doing that. Can even cover centre midfield, and that might play into a formation we have to play. He is a superstar. I am delighted with that deal. Probably similar quality to the other player, but a lot less money. And just very quickly, so I don't get accused of leaving them out, Marcus Burrows is the first youngster, 4-star potential but low self-belief, and Andy Hope is the second one. And while I hope he does manage to make a career here, I would argue the chances are pretty slim looking at that. But those are the signings so far. It's a little bit disappointing because we've not addressed any of the big issues in the team other than a couple of backup defenders, and there wasn't any money left, which meant we were in a little bit of a tight spot. But then I suddenly realised a couple of weeks ago that we had about £3.5 million in the bank, and I didn't really understand why. It turns out one of our young superstars had been sold on and we got a clause for him. I don't think he's going to be in there anymore. So let's just go back to the transfer history because I'll probably find the name better doing it here. If we go back a couple of seasons, the man who we were looking for is this one, Danny Maitland, who went to Brentford under 18s. Now, I'm presuming that this clause was sold and I just missed the message, because he must have been a player who had a 20% sell-on or something. He's not moved clubs again, but he's a real talent, and what I would give to have him in the team, because the left wing is that position we're struggling. We were since the start of the summer. As you've seen, no left winger has come in, and if he was in my side, I think we'd finish halfway up the table. As it is, we're probably in a relegation scrap. But I want to get through all the other stuff quickly because we've got a big decision to make. If we go through the dynamics, it's looking all right. The managerial support's creeping up. Some good characters in the club, some good leaders. It is a tight-knit dressing room, so we haven't got to worry too much on that side of things. What have the signings done to our expectations this season? Well, the simple answer is not a great deal. One or two clubs have moved away from that 50-1 up into mid-table. We're still in this group of 6 or 7 sides. Not one of the two favourites or the shoo-ins to go down, but among many of the others where it's going to be close. Leeds still favourites, but they've lost a couple of stars, so they might not be as dominant as we expected. So Ipswich in a good position. Where was Stoke expected, actually? 7th place. They're a lot stronger than us, I think we would say. But we've got a problem on the tactical front, because what did I say when we came in? This squad really suits a 4-3-3. We just need a left winger. Well, we haven't got one. So what do we do now? We've got a few players on the transfer list where we've just listened to advice from the board meetings, the staff meetings each week. The only person who can play naturally on the left is Jarrett Holtman, who is declining at 33. The only other option is George Hurst, but we've got no backup striker at the moment. So I feel like we're going to have to either play the 4-3-3 with Holtman, or we go to the second tactic I've been training. Now let me show you what it is. Here it is. It is the back three, but with a diamond and one up front. Now the reason I look at that is because if we pick up centre midfielders, including Kent, who is a holding midfielder that's joined the club, we have got a lot of options. You've got Harper, who signed a new deal, Mowat, who at 33 has been given a new 2-year deal. But those two, Adeniran, Adsheed hasn't been sold, but Akinola, Kamara, Sykes, we have got real depth in central midfield. Add to that the signings this summer have largely been defenders. We've promoted Karen Samuels and we've got Frankie Kent in, which means we've got 5 strong centre halves. We've got now 3 players who can play wing back. Do I maybe think about this as a tactic instead? Do I potentially look at one for home and one for away, or do I just train them up and hope for the best? Because it does look like this is going to suit us this year, and with only one striking option, without really having the wide options, it feels like it's a way to get Ferdinand into the team in a role that suits his attributes a little bit better, and it also feels like the best way to be compact whilst having an attacking threat, because then you'll have the box-to-box, the playmaker, the attacking midfielder and the target forward going at it. So I'd love to get your thoughts down in the comments below what you think we should go for. I'm probably going to play the 4-3-3 today, as that's what we've been training for longer and playing in pre-season. But I am going to experiment with the other tactic in the cup and just see how it compares. We might end up playing one home, one away. We might end up playing one or the other. But I just feel we've got to have options with this side, because if we do get in a bad run, it would be nice to tighten it up and maybe have an extra defender. For now though, we're not going to worry about all of that. We're going to stick with a 4-3-3. We're going to go to our first day of the season. I've not spoilt the lineup this time, so you're going to get a surprise. It is Stoke City we are hosting. Scott Parker coming back to the club that he kept up after promotion last season. But can we build on his success, and can we stop him winning his first game at his new club? Let's go and get through the tactical meeting. We'll pick the 11 they're suggesting, and then in a moment we'll come back to run through it and see what changes we want to make. Well then, with a couple of players out of their ideal position and a lot of time focused on set pieces, we are back to try and get the job done here with Ipswich Town. Due to the addition of Frankie Kent, we have now got 6 players who are 6'2" or over. So if we do get set pieces, we're going to be a threat. And I'm kind of experimenting a little bit going forward. The back 8, I would say, I am pretty certain of now. The holding midfield role's a little up for debate. You've got Kent starting today, but Akinola and Adeniran are very similar quality. But everyone bar the front 3 is settled. In terms of the attacking 3, Hurst is playing up front, I'm pretty sure of that. Ferdinand is on the right, which I'm sure of, but he's playing as a Ramdeuter as I continue an experiment. I'm trying to work out whether he can play that position, which he's best at, because his best role officially in star rating is a winger, but he can't cross and he can't run, so it doesn't really make sense. Mark Sykes is playing off the left as an inverted winger. That's because he's rated better than Holtman, despite the fact Holtman's a natural left winger. So we are going to experiment a little bit going forward. The squad itself, the 18, is pretty strong. We've got Grimshaw in goal, Swanson and Davis the fullbacks, with Edmondson and Wolfenden as centre-half. Kent the new signing alongside Harper and Mowat in an experienced midfield trio. And then Ferdinand off the right, Sykes off the left, and George Hurst the target man up front. Let's go and get through to our first game of the season. Portman Road is packed with 27,000 fans, and Stoke City, with former manager Scott Parker, are the visitors on the opening day of the Championship season. Well, one thing we can guarantee now is that we can get very excited about the EFL graphics for the first time in this head coach save, for the first time on this channel in FM23. We've only had it in our Twitch save with Woking so far. Looking at the Stoke side, it's relatively strong. Ben Wilmot and Angus Gunn, familiar names defensively. Harvey White in the middle, and then the likes of Jacob Brown still at the club and Josh Laurent are on the bench. But we've got a good squad. We've got a good group with good personalities. And I feel if we can get into a little head of steam, this might be one of those seasons where we can push on, because we've got a lot of experienced players who are really good personalities behind the scenes here. Really good characters, really good dressing room. But are they good enough on the pitch? And are they fit enough? That's going to be the big question. Into the first half we go. Looks a little different to Bromley's ground, doesn't it? Portman Road has got plenty of people in it. So let's go and get into the first day. Our first professional game officially is the EFL Championship, and it's Stoke on the attack. We know we're going to have to soak up a little bit of pressure. It's just whether the quality shows, because when we're giving teams space 25, 30 yards out, it's not like the National League. Those efforts from Gardner Hickman may well go in. We've still got the National League up, actually. I don't want to be seeing that. We will keep an eye and see how Bromley get on this year. They're coming up to League 2, of course, their first EFL season. And when we do our transfer deadline day special next time out, we'll see who they've bought in their window too. It's been a very quiet 20 minutes, and I know you guys will criticise me for playing cautiously and maybe not being too aggressive, but remember, we are one of the relegation favourites. We've only been in this Division 1 year as a club after, 7, 8, 9 years away. And we've also got to remember that Stoke were a Premier League side last year. They're not the middling Championship club we've come to know now in real life. As Aguirre gets it down the left to Fenton. They have looked a little bit more of a threat down this left wing. Fenton cuts inside, back to Aguirre. He can carry the ball forward. Looks inside to Warren. It is a relatively new-look Stoke team. Ben Wilmot, one of those old heads. Out to Gardner Hickman on the right. He's played well into Siri. It's a good goal from Stoke. 1-0 to the visitors. Scott Parker is having a friendly return here, and we don't really want to let that happen too much. 10 minutes to half-time. We're going to have to come out eventually. But for now, it's Ipswich Town 0, Stoke City 1. Their first shot on target too. To be honest, based on the stats, while we've not had any great chances, we've done all right. And it does boil back to what I said. Defensively, we're not the worst team in the world. Going forward, we lack a little bit of quality. The two good players that we've got going forward are both nervous at the minute. Ferdinand is in a role. I don't really know what his best position is. You'll have to let me know. I feel he suits the number 10 better, but on the right wing, maybe we play him as a playmaker and change Harper's role, but then Harper's not very good at anything else. So it does lead to a few question marks as Swanson picks the ball up. Harper finds Mowat. Good ball to Ferdinand. He's in one-on-one. He's a Ramdeuter. Forget all about what we just said. Paul Ferdinand is our Thomas Muller. He equalises with 52 minutes gone. In, uses his finishing ability, makes a nice run off the back of the defender. Paul Ferdinand, Ramdeuter at heart, and he is an absolute superstar. 25 minutes to go. We are going to make a change now, and it's going to be the one on the left wing. It's going to be Jarrett Holtman, who comes on for Mark Sykes. He will be a more traditional winger on that left-hand side, and I'm just sort of experimenting with players there. We could do with a signing. We don't look like getting one, so at the moment we'll leave it at that. And Adeniran is going to come on for Raheem Harper. He is a good midfielder, but he's not had a great game. So 2 changes made. We get 5 at this level, don't forget. And with 25 minutes to go, we're back in the game. And for a side that is, fairly new to the Championship against a side that's just come down, this is a really good effort, I would say. Ferdinand is struggling with fitness. Hurst is struggling with performance. We've got no subs of quality in that position. So let's just get into the last 10. There's no point making subs for the sake of it. As the corner comes in, punched away well. White picks it up on the edge of the box to Reddy. Good clearance from Swanson. Aguirre will get there first. Maybe we have to get fresh legs out wide, but we don't have that attacking depth. As Gardner Hickman gets in, good ball across. Swanson clears it away. We're clinging on at the minute. White picks it up in midfield again. Chance to cut inside to Laurent. Good block from Kent. Adeniran holds it up for Wolfenden. There's that low block as Ferdinand wins it. Adeniran through to Hurst. He's not known for his pace. Oh, it's good goalkeeping, Angus Gunn. He just about got a foot to it. I thought he was getting rounded. And that's probably the downside of having a big target man rather than a little nimble striker there. Holtman gets it to Edmondson. It's becoming a very good finish. Leif Davis gives the ball away. Wins it back. Got space to run into. Big switch towards Ferdinand. Knocked down for Adeniran. The substitute scores. It is 2-1 to Ipswich. I forgot the score momentarily. What a counter-attack. That is what we want when we play cautious. We want to play out at speed. We want to get in behind. And that is an absolutely super goal. I am a very happy man at the moment. Leif Davis keying that. Ferdinand gets an assist to add to his goal. And what a substitute Adeniran was. 2-1 with 7 to go. There is a nervous, tired George Hurst up front. There is a very tired Ferdinand on the right. But we don't have anyone on the bench bar this Ollie Davis. And he is rubbish. I'm going to leave it. We're going to time waste right at the end if we need to. We can make 2 separate sub breaks. We can make 2 and then 1 or 1 and then 2. But this is not a substitute to improve the team. It is literally just a sub to try and waste a bit of time. As Holtman loses out in the air, it falls for Alex Mowat. He gives it to Kent. Wide on the right-hand side is Swanson. Ferdinand's down the line. What a game he's having. And now he's won a penalty too. Kane Ferdinand is having an absolutely brilliant game. And although I don't use the Ramdoita very often, I know he suits it in terms of attributes. We might be using it more after this. Aguirre sent off. George Hurst has a penalty. Would be great for him to open his account this year. He does just that. Sends the goalkeeper the wrong way with a cool, composed penalty. And now he can go and make the subs. And we're just going to rest people now. Ollie Davis will come on for Hurst. Can I bring on Trey Hume or Swanson up there? Swanson can play further forward. So Ferdinand off. We'll go to 2 traditional wingers. And what we'll actually do, just to see out the game, because we're 3-1 up now, is we'll bring on Hume there. He gets his debut. And then in terms of the positions, we'll pull Swanson back and we'll pull Holt back a little bit there. I'm going to give Alex Mowat a little rest. Etienne Kamara will come on. Or in fact, no. Kent can get a cheer off on his debut. Frankie Kent replaced by Kamara. 2 minutes plus stoppages to go. It is a dream start in EFL with Ipswich. And what a club we have got. A wonderful counter-attacking style. Ferdinand a superstar in an experimental role. And after going 1-0 down, the guts, the spirit I talked about in this club, strong personalities, strong performance, and a very good result to open up. Ipswich 3, Stoke 1. You think you've made a mistake, Scott Parker? Well done, lads. Excellent effort. Now let's go and see when we're going to be back. I'm smiling again. And now I'm double smiling because not only are we second in the championship after that game, we've got another player coming in on loan. He is a very good player, no wage contribution, tiny monthly fee, and look at how good he is. 2.5 star ability, 4.5 potential as a centre midfielder. Kind of see him as the replacement if Kamara goes, to be honest. But for no contribution at all, that's a super deal. And then there's another offer in for Smith, who is not very good, but from Bala, it's an interesting signing. By Welsh Premier League standards, he's exceptional. It's a shame we're stealing him, really. Maybe we can do them proud if he manages to make it. But for a free agent deal, that's absolutely excellent. Now let's go and have a look at the schedule because we have got to show transfer deadline day here. There's no doubt about it. It's our first one in EFL. There's money to spend now because of the sell-on clause for that other player. 3.5 million. A left winger still needed. It's the one missing piece. And I'm hoping we're going to get it. We're going to come back then for either Birmingham or Cardiff. I'll judge it depending on how the next few games go. We might even have a big EFL Cup tie if we get through this one. But then it will be deadline day. It will be over to Gary Probert. And we'll see what our director of football at our new club can do to finish off our first transfer window here. But what a start to the season. If you did enjoy it, please do chuck a thumbs up on the video. Let me know what you thought of the signing so far and the players that were let go. Any new staff standing out for you? Mick Beale, a bit of an interesting one. And what a performance against Stoke. Have I stumbled into the right role for Ferdinand? If you want to stay up to date and find out if we sustain it, then subscribe and turn that notification bell on. We'll be back here in a couple of days' time. I can't wait for it already. In the meantime, though, we have got a summer transfer special to worry about in our Build a Nation save. That one will be here tomorrow at 3:30. You can find that playlist in the eye above, as well as the Twitch channel, the football podcast, and so much more. But thank you very much for watching as always. I'll put that Build a Nation save above my head now. And I'll see you back here in a couple of days' time for Deadline Day with Ipswich.